Jazzcast Pros.
Hello and welcome back to High Vibe Table Talks. This is your host, Marshawn Hargrave. I want you to raise your hand if you were personally victimized by America Ferrera's speech in the movie Barbie. I know I'm raising my hand, and I wanted to wrap up the Power Move series today with this topic because I think it's very timely. We are getting into back to school. There are, many parts of the country are already back to school. Here in upstate New York, we don't go back until after Labor Day, but it's a busy season. It's a season change for many of us. And, as I was brainstorming different topics for this Power Move series, this was one that kind of popped in my head, but I wasn't exactly sure where it was going to fit. And so we are going to talk about Barbie as a business and a brand, but also, the Power Move pivot that they did have and the impact it had on us as a society, me specifically, but, what I think of as kind of an ideal client for this podcast, which is women who may or may not have families, but are juggling a lot, trying to grow a business that they're passionate about. Welcome to High Vibe Table Talks, the podcast to help you, the current or aspiring solopreneur, navigate the messy middle so you can make both an income and an impact. Hi, I'm Rashawn, and I love creating safe spaces for women to be courageous in their dreams. After spending a decade working in sales for a startup and talking with hundreds of other women entrepreneurs, I know it can be lonely, but you can do this. So pull up a seat. This is High Vibe Table Talks. So for a long time, Barbie was, this plastic toy that was unrealistic. It had a lack of diversity. It was, a lot of things that as a more male-centered society, we tend to think of as important, so the bigger boobs, the smaller waist, doing things like the cooking and the caring for the children and all the things that the kind of hustle culture and grinding culture and girl boss, that sort of phenomenon pushed away from. And it's interesting actually because back in the 1990s, my mom would not let us really play with Barbies because she was very much like, you're going to be more than that. It's, she felt like they did a disservice to me and my sisters specifically around what things are important for us as little girls to idealize. And so what I think the movie did really brilliantly is it owned those. The director, Greta Gerwig, I have friends who went and saw it. I specifically remember before going to see it, I was out with some girlfriends and two of them had seen it. And they were like, it was so dumb. It was ridiculous. And I watched it and I cried, especially during that America Ferrera monologue. I mean, if by any chance you have not seen it, just go YouTube, pause this right now and go watch it and listen to it and tell me that you're not moved. And so what Greta Gerwig, I think, did beautifully was that she went into the history of Barbie and kind of what it has been to us as a society since the origination of it and said, yeah, these were problems that we had. These were qualities that were good in theory, but they just didn't have the impact that we thought they were going to have. Or as society changed, they felt less connected with specific pieces of the Barbie brand. And so they kind of said, okay, what we created doesn't specifically fit what society is craving right now. And so I think it's just an interesting discussion around us as solopreneurs who are trying to create these businesses that hit specific demographics, specific people, really hit stories of others that we see in ourselves. And Barbie just wasn't hitting that note anymore. And so they said, how can we change? How can we pivot? How can we do something different that is impactful and important to society in general? And I thought that the movie did that very brilliantly. Actually, my favorite character in there is Weird Barbie. She's just she just is who she is and she owns it. And that's another thing that I think is so important is like us just being our most authentic self. The other night, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's aligned with this discussion we're having right now. Is my husband and I the other night, we were watching Prince opened up for the Special Olympics when they were held in Minneapolis. And they have video of his mic check. And it's like the day before and it's the rehearsal. And there's two pieces of it. We were kind of watching it because he actually wants to introduce it to some trainings he does for other teachers, just about like, this was the dress rehearsal. This was the mic check. And he goes all out. And everybody behind him goes all out because he's like, yes, this isn't like the performance, but like giving 100% during these times is important too. But what we were talking about was like he came out and he was wearing his heels and he had his tight shirt and like Prince just was always himself. And I do know that originally he opened for like a more rock and roll band. And they were like, you're really talented, but when you come out, like, don't wear that stuff because, their audience members were like making fun of him, laughing at him, whatever. And Prince was like, well, you're not my people. And he went on tour on his own and obviously became a profoundly successful and impactful artist of our generation because he decided to live in true alignment with himself. And he was like, if you don't get it, then you don't get it. And that's fine. You're not my people. My people will get it. And if like my people are the 10 people in Minneapolis that I have in my group or, millions around the country, I don't care. But I'm going to be myself and I'm going to live authentic to myself. And so I think that's what Weird Barbie does. And I found her just hilarious. And she called other people out for things that weren't in alignment with themselves. So getting back to the monologue from America Ferrera, part of this episode I wanted to be about the Power Move series. And part of this I wanted to be as a token of grace for those in a new season, a different season, a challenging season. Summer is very busy, but it's a lot more fluid. We can take some time off and we can go on vacations and there is a busyness to it, but also like a lot of moments of relaxation in it. And you might be like, there was no relaxing. I have one child and we are able to do a lot of different things. And so like last night, my daughter and I were playing Guess Who, until like 9:30 at night. So there was some relaxation built in there. But the point is now that school is starting, there's a lot more structure. There's a lot more, you need to be here at this time doing this thing. Or, I'm coaching volleyball for the high school for the first time. So there's a lot more mandates on my time as far as like practice time and planning and getting there and setting up and parent meetings and game time. And what the monologue really brought to light was like, as women, we're expected to like, I want to say hold up both ends of the stick, but I don't know if that's right. It's like, because you need to be like thin, but not too thin. You need to be healthy, but not always talk about health and like have some freedom. You need to be that fun, loving mom, but also like create all the structure. You need to be confident and hold your own, but like not be a bitch. And like, there's these tasks that are ultimately like impossible. Like, you want me to be this, but also this, and I can't, those things are mutually exclusive. Like, you say like confidence is important, then I stand up for myself and you call me a bitch. Like that's something that a lot of us have had to do. And it's like, the other one is you have to love being a mom, but not talk about your kids all the time. And like, your career should be important to you, but like your home needs to be clean and you should have dinner on the table. And it's like, I can't do all of those things. And I know that time is our most valuable resource. And sometimes it can feel like it's fleeting and there's not enough of it. And what more do you want from me is something that I have felt, and I know others in this space have felt. And so I wanted to create this episode as a place of grace for you, trying to do all of the things, especially as we really get into this next season of just a little bit more chaos and the structure of school is nice. I know that Rowan is ready to spend more time with people that are not me and my husband. But, then it's like, I'm so sad that I only get to see her for certain hours of the day. And so it's just like, do what you can with what you have. And that is enough. You are enough. I think that is something that really came through with the Barbie movie. Like, you are enough in whatever you are. Weird Barbie is enough. Having cellulite still means you're enough. And the other part that I found really interesting, because this is something that like I have battled myself, is like I was very much like into sports and athletics growing up. And so it was like, if you were an athlete, then you had to go against like pretty and feminine and pink and, just all the things that are associated with a more female centered, because it's like, I don't care about those things. I'm a cool girl. I'm like one of the ones who like sports and I know baseball statistics and I can't like baseball statistics while wearing pink, which is something that's like so ridiculous when you say it out loud, especially as an adult. But like, A, when you're a 14-year-old girl, and B, back in like the 90s, early 2000s, like that's just was what our society was telling us. And I think Barbie was like, no, like it's okay to like want to feel pretty. It's okay to want to feel feminine. And it's okay to do those things as you are being strong and doing things that have a masculine energy. One of my episodes that I did with Rayanne, it was a while ago, but just about like holding both of those energies at the same time. And like, you don't have to pick one or the other. Like, they're both important. And just because like we have a society that is built very much in the framework of making males more comfortable, and the things that are important to males are important to society. And I think as solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, we are building things that go against that. It's not this like you have to work 9 to 5 and you have to like you being there and being present 100% of the time, or 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week. That's the only way that you are enough. That's the only way that you are productive. And if you take time to step out of that, then you're not giving 100% to this company, this business, and even as entrepreneurs, like so many that I work with have to rid themselves of that corporate mindset. And it can take a lot, like as a solopreneur, like, oh, I have to be at my desk at 8 and then I have to work until 5 and there's no leniency in there. And if I do step out for whatever reason, or sleep in for whatever reason, or shut my laptop at lunch, or decide to go for a walk, or exercise in the middle of the day, or shut my laptop to take some time to think deeply, then I'm not being a good enough entrepreneur. And like, you get to be whatever kind of entrepreneur you want. And like, you get to build this business around whatever you want. And if that means like having art breaks in the middle of the day, or creativity walks, or taking the day off, like that is all okay. You're still a good enough entrepreneur. You're still an entrepreneur if you have a 9 to 5. I did my episode with Carly where people demonize having a 9 to 5, and then you're not really like, you're a fake entrepreneur if you have a 9 to 5 while building your business. And that is not true. And Carly talks about using it as your angel investor. And I think Barbie would love that. I think Barbie's like, you're creating a safe space for your creativity and business to thrive, without being at the detriment of stressing out over like how your bills are going to get paid. I think that's a beautiful thing, and Barbie would be all for it. So this episode isn't a complete neat bow, but I wanted it to be partially about the pivot that Barbie has made and the things that it highlights that are important, and how it has really evolved as society has evolved. And part 2 being the spotlight of that monologue from the Barbie movie around society put so much pressure on us to do all of the things. And in this season change, you are enough. You are doing enough. You can take a breath, give yourself some grace, and just kind of like, I'm handing you over a shield from society saying, all the hurtful things of you're not a good enough mother, you're not a good enough homemaker because you ordered pizza, all the things that it puts pressure on us. And this is my shield for you to say, like, I'm doing the best with what I have, and that's enough. And that's so also like exactly why I love sharing the messy middle of entrepreneurship and of business and of motherhood. Kind of goes back to like Weird Barbie showing your weird self. Like sometimes the messy middle feels weird, and it's okay to share those too, because that's authentic and that's what is important and that's what people connect with. So I hope this episode hit home a little bit and was able to give you a pause and a bit of a breath to like, you're doing all the things, you're doing them well. So keep it up. What you're doing is important, and what you're not doing is important. Like taking that rest, taking that break, taking that pause, that's important too. So until next time, remember that big dreams and small steps will transform your life.